In The Covenant of Water, you recapture, if not surpass, the breadth, the ambition, the joy, and the beauty of your landmark novel, Cutting for Stone. What were your inspirations for this new book?
Well, the inspiration for this book was really a question that my niece, who was 5 years old at the time, asked my 70-year-old mother. She asked her, Amachi, which means grandmother, what was it like when you were a little girl? And my mother was so taken with that question that she wrote a 150-page handwritten manuscript full of anecdotes about her childhood, anecdotes that were very familiar to me and my brothers growing up. And that sparked this idea of my setting a novel in Kerala, South India, which is a land full of water, using some sense of a very strong family, but also infusing it with a medical theme, which I love to do. And so really that was the genesis of this novel, finding a particular geography and also a particular time, 1900 to 1970, which was a hugely important time, full of change in India and in the world.
Without spoiling anything for your readers and listeners, speak a little to the role water plays in the story.
Well, Kerala is a smallish state in the south of India, but full of waterways. It has something like 500 miles of backwaters, 44 rivers, countless lakes and lagoons. So water is an integral way that people get around even to this day. And so water is everywhere. And I think it conveys a sense of how we're all connected. E.M. Forster, in his famous phrase, only connect, seemed to imply that we need to make the effort to connect. And in a funny way, I think seeing so much water all around you, the stream flowing in front of your house, flows in front of your neighbor's house, you are all connected in this very visible and palpable way. So to me, water was, in a way, underlining the great themes of family that run through this book, the great theme of connectedness, no matter how disparate we might seem to be on the outside.
Beyond the literal and metaphorical deconstruction of water, there are other reoccurring themes throughout the novel: a love of family, an appreciation of food, the miracle of medicine, the history of India. Which of these things do you most enjoy writing about?
I enjoy writing about all the things you mentioned in the question: food, family, medicine, the emergence of independent India. But I especially like trying to capture the sense of change. To watch a country go from being under colonial occupation to being free, but being free did not mean that everybody was equal, because the country was already riddled with layers of hierarchies of caste and oppression, none of which magically disappeared at the end of colonial rule. I like writing about medicine because medicine is life plus plus. I mean, what is medicine but life at its most acute, its most intensely lived? And finally, I think for most people, our families are what sustain us. They are the source of our happiness or our biggest regrets. One way or the other, family defines so much of who we are and the sort of satisfaction we extract out of life. So these are the themes I think any novelist winds up coming back to. In my case, they certainly seem to be the themes that most interest me.
15 years is a long time between novels, especially in a world now seemingly measured in views and likes instead of reviews and blurbs. What are the challenges of writing and publishing a novel in 2023 that you didn't face in 2008?
Well, I think the world has changed considerably since 2008 when Cutting for Stone came out, and now. One of the things that strikes me is the abundance of social media, our familiarity with all kinds of Zoom kind of interviews, which is a consequence, I believe, of COVID. And in terms of why it took me so long, I think in part because I have a wonderful day job that keeps me pretty busy. And also because, as a consequence perhaps of that day job, I'm not in a great hurry to put something out. I have the luxury of taking my time, not necessarily as much time as I took with this one, but I do have the luxury of taking the time to get it right, rather than feeling I have to keep producing something. Don't get me wrong, I really would like to be able to write a novel in a year or two, but it seems to me that the kind of novels I'm drawn to both read and write, which tend to be grand epic novels, require a certain degree of immersion, require this sort of temporal investment of several years to know the story and determine where it's going to take you and see the connections that aren't available to you when you first start out.